Hi everybody, Matt here from Matt Likes Comics. Before we get into today's topic, I just wanted to take a moment to thank my wife's friend and my friend, Kathleen Ramsey, for designing my Matt Likes Comics logo. Um, I really appreciate. She also did the recording for my first couple of videos until I got the hang of actually being able to do this myself. I appreciate what you've done. Thank you for your help with my channel, and I hope everything you have a wonderful year in 2025. Now, today, I wanted to talk to you about a different topic. Not one that I've seen. I've actually not really seen anybody really do videos for this one, so I'm hoping that this could be. I'm sure there's videos out there, but I'm hoping this could be a newbie. The background to this is simple. Archie Comics Publications, headquartered in Pelham, New York, began in 1939 as the company of MLJ Magazines, Inc. MLJ was the initials of the three founders of their first name. They started with superhero comics. However, they were not as popular as the main comics. They were selling reasonably well. Don't get me wrong, The Shield was one of their first ones, and it was selling reasonably well. But everything for this company changed with Pep Comics 22, with the introduction of a character by the name of Archie Andrews, who back then called himself Chick. He was created by John Goldwater and Bob Montana, and John Goldwater is the J in MLJ. So, based off of the Andy Hardy films, which were basically how Mickey Rooney became a star. If you're familiar who Mickey Rooney is, he passed away a few years ago, but he was a big teenage star, and then he ended up in he had playing the Asian guy in Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, basically, Archie Comics changed everything for a certain genre. They created the teenage comic. There have been lots of teenage comics since. You've got Mad About Millie. You've got that Wilkin Boy, which was an Archie one. There's all these DC ones, Scooter, da da da. All in the future. Doesn't matter. But Archie is still the number one seller to this day because not only has the company kept going, they are still owned by themselves as a private company. No other company owns them. They are publishing comics to this day. And all the other teen-like books have all disappeared. The fact that Archie Comics didn't serialize their comics made things easy to do certain things with their books. Therefore, they created the Archie Digest. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the digests, and I'm going to show you some Archie stuff that I have of the digest size. Okay. Archie Comics Digests debuted in 1973, won the leaders at MLJ Magazines, that at this point they have changed their name to Archie, saw that the digests by Disney and Gold Key were selling well. And they were selling them still at drugstores. So they were a little concerned that if they were to take their stories and turn it into a digest format, it may not do so well, because even though the other digests were doing fine, the space and the return policies of the magazine world at the time could not guarantee they would make a lot of sales. And thus so they had a meeting with their sales manager. His name was Ben Cooperstock. And Ben came up with the idea, well, why don't we sell them at supermarkets? Ding! We had a winning formula. So the digests came out. Basically, for most of the time the digests have been out, and for most of the period we're talking about, Every digest would start with a new story, brand new to the magazine, as a incentive for people to buy the digests as well as the regular comics on the rack. And then they would reprint older stories in the rest of the digest based on the character the digest was about. If it was Jughead Jones, they would do Jughead stories. Betty and Veronica, they'd do that. You would get the odd little Jinx stories thrown in, a lot of one-page gags, starring like Pop Tate and the coach, Mr. Weatherby, Miss Grundy, on the side characters. Although Jughead and Archie were in a lot of these one-page gags, it's usually with one of those characters that I've been mentioned. And as a result, sales boomed. The original digest was called Archie Digest. Started as Archie Comics Digest later. They changed. Some of these digests have changed names. Some of them have stopped. Some of them have started up again, like every other comic book thing. However, the original Archie Comics Digest went 267 issues from 1973 to 2010. And there were like lots of different digests. They would come with double digests. They've come up with, Jughead had his own digest. Betty and Veronica had their own digest. Archie Superheroes was a very brief one that got 4 issues back in the 70s. And you Jughead with Archie, Archie and his buddies, like all these different names. In the end, they from the beginning of the digest to as of today, they have 57 different titles of digest. Some of them are the same runs, and they just changed names. Some have stopped. They took in breaks, come back with new numbering. Some have stopped, taken breaks, and come back, continuing the numbering. The numbering, to follow the numbering for some of this stuff, it's like following current Marvel books sometimes, but not as difficult. But you still have to do a little bit of research behind what's done and what's happened. Of course, the digests are still on sale as of this day. I saw 3 of them at the supermarket 3 days ago when I last went. 3 different ones. I saw the Archie, Betty, and Jughead. They're all mainly double digests that are left today, and I don't know what the price in American is, but they're about $10 Canadian. And the fact that they're still going and they still have new stories is pretty cool. Now, that is the lecture today. So I'm going to show you some stuff from the digest sides, but also I have this interesting book. Here's an Archie book that I think everybody should get. I got it at the Ottawa Comic Con, and I had it signed by Dan Parent. And this is a collection. It's called 75 Years, 75 Stories. And it is a collection of significant stories from the Archie years. It includes the first ever story. It includes Veronica's first story, Moose's first story, Reggie's first story, Clayton's first story. Basically, any major character, Kevin Keller, Cheryl Blossom, their first appearance is in here. Also, there are other significant stories. Now, this came out before Archie died, so that one is not in here. But it is one that I think that if you've got a chance, you should get it. I paid $15 for this, which it has a $15.99 Canadian, $14.99 US cover price on it. And it is out of print. So you're most likely to get this in comic book stores in the back issue bins or whatever they say. But it is a nice collection. It has certainly got a bunch of stories that you're not going to get for cheap, especially that PEP 22. But you should get it. So here are the digests that I have. This one is Archie Annual number 46. And this is one from that original Archie series that I talked about. Archie, that started as Archie, Sorry, that started as Archie Digest and then became Archie Digest Magazine later, and then a different name, and then back to Archie Digest Magazine. And that's what I mean by you have to follow the numbers. This is 185. Here we have a couple of Archie's Double Digests. This is 163. And 157. I actually like the cover on this because Archie's face, more than anything, talks about the love triangle of the Archie universe. See, and this is what I mean by different names. This is Archie's Pals and Gals Double Digest, number 88, which started as a uh, Betty and Veronica Double Digest, and then they changed the name because they wanted to bring out yet another title, so they changed it to Pals and Gals. Briefly. Here is Betty and Veronica Annual number 5. Unfortunately, it has a sticker on it. And we have Betty and Veronica Digest 164. This is the new one, the new title. Even the new titles, by the way, started in the late 80s, early 90s. So a lot of these books have been in continuous print since 1973. So the key is always making sure, like you look at. I always start by looking at the date in the indicia. Like this one is 2002, so I know it's the current series, even though also the prices kind of give it away. This is Betty and Veronica Double Digest 108. Swimsuit cover. And this is 134. Another swimsuit cover. Now, this one is interesting because it's a Betty and Veronica Double Digest 152, but it takes place. This is when, after the Archie comics decided they wanted to modernize their look a little bit. So the cover looks in a different style. And here we've got examples of the Jughead Jones Comics Digest. This one is number 48. This is of the second series as well. Jughead Jones had one that was stopped. And when they brought it back, literally 2 months later, they brought it back. They renumbered it. Started from number 1. And since this actually was before all of the Marvel stuffs happened, people, you could say these were the first people to reboot for the number 1s for no other reason than to sell number 1s. This is Jughead's Double Digest 89. Hot Dog is hanging out in a hammock. Now, we also had a bunch of books from the digest that they decided to name after a lot of the original titles like Life with Archie, Laugh, and Archie's Joke Book, etc. was canceled in 1987. They took the titles and turned them into digests so that they could keep the copyright on the names. This is Laugh Comic Digest number 80. And the last two, well, there's 2 left to go here. This one is Little Archie 16. Unfortunately, it's from the Elise collection, which, as you can see on the writing, And the last one I'm going to show is called the New Archie's Digest magazine. And this again was a different, when they were trying new looks. They're trying to modernize the looks of Archie a little bit. This was before that really different look. But if you look at Archie's hairstyle, they were trying to make him a little more modern in the way he dressed. So this is New Archie's 11. And it's the only book of that batch that I have that has any price on pounds. Now, as I said, digests were primarily sold in supermarkets as they are to this day, but you can order them at comic book shops. I'm not sure if there is a newsstand versus direct edition. I don't think I've ever seen a direct edition in my life. The good thing about the digest is they're very popular even with non-comic fans. So they are actually, if you are a collector of Archie Digest, they are really easy to find. You can probably find them at every used bookstore. You could probably find them at a lot of yard sales. Sometimes comic book shops will carry them and they'll have them at like $1 a piece. And they're good little reads for it. I like them. I like the fact that they do reprint a bunch of older stories that you aren't going to get necessarily get to see. And the fact that Archie Comics doesn't have this tune in next issue very often makes it very easy to have the digest formula. As Archie Comics has over 4,000 books they can reprint, they've got plenty of material to have the digests go on for years and years, especially by only adding one new story per issue. Because the Archie floppies are not, there's not as many as there used to be. So they're relying more on the digest sales have obviously kept the company alive. But this is one thing that I know that everybody, I'd say 99% of us comic collectors have at least one that we've picked up over the years. So I hope you enjoyed this little trek into Archie Digest history. I thought it was fun because I've always liked digest-sized issues. DC Digests from the Blue Ribbon and Best of DC ones from the early 80s, late 70s. Loved them to death. I have some of the Adventure Comics digests when they briefly went to digest from 491 to 503. I love the digest format in a lot of ways. And the fact that Archie has basically, in the last 30 years, well, actually 73, well, I would say in the 70s it was half and half. They were still doing a lot of floppies. But since the 80s for sure, they have basically lived off the sales of these. And it is a part of comics. It is part of comics history, and one that I personally find fascinating. If you like what I've done today, please tell me down below in the comments. If you don't like it, tell me too. Tell me, do you like digests? Do you collect these digests? Do you like Archie? Do you hate Archie? Would you like to see him reread over and over his death? I mean, whatever. I like the digests. I think they're fun, and the reason I have a few is because every so often I pick up one or two when I see them at a comic convention. I try to pick up ones that don't have price tags on them, are in reasonable shape. Unfortunately, sometimes my kids get a hold of them. But that's beside the point. The digests, I don't mind. I want to see them read comics. Thank you very much for sharing this time with me today. Please like, subscribe, and comment. I know I've said that, but I'm just making sure I said it again. And the day I'm recording this video is very early in the year, New Year. So have a happy New Year, and I hope everybody meets their collecting goals in 2025. And, has a good regular life too. My name's Matt, and I like comics, and I hope you do too.